my name is Annie and welcome back to my channel, Teens Under Christ. I hope you guys are having an awesome day today, and I hope you guys are doing good this week. I know that this week is really close to Christmas, so I hope you guys have an awesome Christmas Eve or day, whatever you celebrate. Please stay safe wherever you are, and always remember the true meaning of Christmas, which is to remember Jesus' birth and to remember why he came to earth. And it's not all about the physical gifts, but the sentimental gifts, and especially the gift of love that Jesus gave to us. Thank you guys for coming to this video. Today we are going to be reading Jesus is Arrested, and this is based on Matthew 26, Mark 14, Luke 22, and John 13 to 18. So without further ado, let's get started. Jesus is arrested. Jesus left the city to stay overnight at the house of a man named Simon in Bethany. There a woman poured a jar of expensive perfume over his head. Jesus' disciples were horrified, believing the oil to have been wasted, when it could have been sold for money to feed the poor. By now, Judas Iscariot, one of the disciples, was beginning to lose faith in Jesus. He went to the chief priest, who disliked Jesus, and offered to betray him for some money. When the Passover festival arrived, Jesus and his disciples went to the house in Jerusalem to prepare their Passover meals. This evening, during the meal, Jesus announced that one of them would betray him to his enemies. The disciples stared at each other in disbelief and began to ask one by one, "Surely, Lord, you do not mean me." Jesus said, "I will dip my bread into the bowl and give it to the man who will betray me." He did so, and he gave the bread to Judas. With a stare, Judas left the room. Jesus then gave the disciples bread to eat and wine to drink, saying, "This is my body, which I am giving up for you. This is my blood, which I am shedding for many for their sins to be forgiven." Later that day, in the garden full of olive trees called Gethsemane, while the others waited, walked on further with Peter and the brother James and John, and said to them, "My heart is so full of sorrow that it is almost crushes me." Jesus then asked the disciples to keep watch and went off to pray alone. He threw himself to the ground and begged God to spare him. Jesus went back 3 times to find his disciples asleep instead of keeping watch. But at last he said, "Sleep no more. Here comes my betrayer." Judas was approaching him, followed by a crowd of men armed with swords. Judas kissed Jesus, and once Jesus was arrested, the disciples ran away with horror. So as we can see here, we see that Judas kind of got mad that Jesus said, "You're going to be the one that's going to betray me," because Judas had already sold him for money, and now he is getting arrested by a betrayal kiss. Jesus was taken to the house of the high priest, where teachers of the law gathered. They tried to find evidence against him, but could not find him guilty of any crime. Finally, Caiaphas asked, "Are you the Son of God?" Jesus replied, "I am." The chief priests declared that no man could be the Son of God, and that Jesus must be punished for what he had said. The punishment for this would be death. Peter was sitting outside in the courtyard when a servant of the high priest said to him, "You were here with Jesus of Galilee." Peter was scared and denied knowing Jesus 3 times. Then a cock crowed, and Peter remembered that Jesus had told him he would disown him 3 times before the cock crowed at dawn. Peter wept in shame when he realized what he had done. So here we're noticing that everything that God or anything that Jesus proclaims ends up being true, because all the prophecy he puts out like in names, they end up being true, because that's like he knows everything. He's all knowing about the past, present, and future, and he knows every single detail. He knows everything you have ever done, anything you're doing, and anything you will do in your life. And he's right here telling them this is gonna happen. They're like, I'm never gonna do that, and then boom, it happens. So everything that's gonna happen, you can try to make it not happen, but I'm promising you it would happen. The next chapter is the Crucifixion, and the Crucifixion is based on Matthew 27, Mark 15, Luke 23, John 18 to 19. The Crucifixion. Early the next morning, the chief priests led Jesus to Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor. Pilate asked Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews?" To which Jesus replied, "So you say." After Jesus refused to say another word, much to Pilate's concern, he knew that the charges against Jesus were false. Pilate made one last offer to help Jesus. At Passover, it was accustomed to free a prisoner chosen by the people. Barabbas was a thief in jail at the time. Pilate asked the crowd, "Do I release Barabbas or Jesus, who is called Christ?" While Pilate waited for the reply, his wife told him of a dream where she knew that Jesus was innocent of any crime, and that they would suffer if they killed him. But the priests and leaders whipped up hatred among the crowd, and when Pilate asked them who they wished to spare, they all cried Barabbas. So Barabbas was like a really, like, if you ever watch the movie, I honestly forgot what the name of the movie is, but like, my reply. So if you guys ever watched the movie Passion of the Christ, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people have watched it, and if you haven't, you should watch it honestly before you watch it. It is a very sad movie, and it 100% makes you cry. It has a lot of really graphic scenes, like graphic, an example, like when they mistreated Jesus, in that sense, and it's very like, shows a lot of blood. That's my warning if you guys want to watch it, and if you already watched it, you know. But in that movie, they show Barabbas, and like on here, he's like a psychopath. He's like all crazy. He looks like all crazy guy. So here they're literally telling the crowd, like, do you want this crazy guy to be like to be killed? Like, he's a thief and he's done a bunch of things. Do you want him to be killed, or do you want this guy who just claims to be the son of man, the son of God, to be killed? And everybody said, the son of God. We want Barabbas to be spared. So literally they chose like a crazy person, like against like a person, like against Christ, that he didn't do any crime. Just for saying that he was the son of God, he was supposedly doing a crime. And I feel like that somehow relates to us, because I feel like sometimes for us, like for example right now, it'd be so obvious to like say like, why wouldn't you choose like even like the normal looking guy? But I think that we sometimes do that in life. Sometimes we have like the option to do this crazy thing that's like the world, part of the world, and then we have this awesome option to like follow God and like have a calm, well, not a calm life, because Christian or non-Christian doesn't mean you have any less trials than another person means. It just means that you have faith in that, in like how to surpass the trials. But I think that we sometimes choose like the wrong thing, even though it's like so obvious. We choose the wrong thing, And I think that's kind of like an example of us now. Pilate then asked, "What shall I do with Jesus, the Messiah?" And the crowd began to shout at the tops of their voices, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Pilate saw that the riot might break out. He washed his hands in front of the crowd, saying, "I am not responsible for this man's death. It is your doing." He set Barabbas free as the crowd demanded, and handed Jesus over to be crucified. I don't know if you guys can see like well in the image, but Jesus is like the one on the left, like wearing the purple robe, and Barabbas is the one that's on the other side of Pilate, which is the one in the center, like the one on the rock, and he's the one that's like chained up with the soldiers behind him. The soldiers led Jesus away through the streets of Jerusalem, and they had dressed him in purple and placed a crown made of twigs thrown up his head. Jesus had made to carry the heavy cross on which he was to be crucified. Crowds of the people lined the streets and watched Jesus struggle painfully the weight of his own cross. In the same movie, The Passion Christ, you also see like after like Jesus gets like beaten up, because he gets like beaten up like super bad. After that, the soldiers, they make fun of him. They're like, "Oh, so you call yourself to be the king?" And they're like, "Here is a crown for the king," and they gave him a crown of thorns. And they were like laughing at him. They were like making fun of him, like, "Oh, you call yourself to be the king? Then you deserve a crown. Here's your crown, my king." And they even put like rags on him, but they did it like in a very like laughing at him way, and they like really made fun of him. As Jesus staggered through the narrow streets of Jerusalem, the soldiers grabbed a man from the crowds. His name was Simon, and he was in the city of Cayenne in North Africa. He was forced to help Jesus carry his heavy burden. Among the crowds that followed them were some women that were weeping. Jesus called to them, "Women of Jerusalem, do not cry for me. Cry for yourself and for your children." Jesus was led to place. Before I keep going, I want you guys to comment down below what that means to you. When Jesus said, "Women of Jerusalem, do not cry for me. Cry for yourself and for your children." What does that mean to you? Like, what do you think he was trying to tell us here? Comment down below what you think like the real meaning behind that was. Jesus was led to a place called Golgotha. Oh my gosh, I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing a lot of these names wrong. I'm so sorry. Golgotha, where he was crucified. Mary, Jesus' mother, and Mary Magdalene, his friend, watched in sorrow as he was hung in the cross. Two other men, both criminals, were crucified on either side of him. Below him, soldiers rolled dice to see who would get his clothes. Others hurled insults at him and mocked him. "If you have saved others," then they shouted, "then save yourself." So here you can see like the soldiers, they were like still making fun of him because they were playing die. They were like rolling and playing games. And for those who don't know, like it's like when the week of Passover, like when we celebrate Easter, you're not like supposed to like play any games during those days, because it kind of is like representing what happened here, because like the soldiers under him were like, they were playing like games and dice to like bet who got like the clothes when they were dead. But like that's like, I don't know if you guys knew that, but like you're not supposed to play games during the week of Passover, or like the time you celebrate Passover, or not celebrate, the time you honor Passover, because it's disrespectful, meaning to what happened here. And then here you can see that other people were also mocking him by saying, you have saved other people from the grave, from this, from that, from this, from that. They said, then they shouted, save yourself. Like, if you're so amazing, then save yourself. And he could have done that, but he didn't, because that was God's will. God's will was for. So he said, people were making fun of him, but he's like, he could have saved himself, but he didn't, because this was God's will. And in the mountain, when he prayed, he knew that this was God's will, because he said, Lord, if you can, please allow this cup to pass from me. But since like God didn't say anything, he knew that God needed this to happen. And this would have happened if we were like, this happened because we needed to be saved, and we needed to have like a reason to live, and our reason to live is to like have an option to go to heaven or to go like downhill. And that like now we have the option, but before we didn't have the option to be saved. The sky grew dark as Jesus hung on the cross. Then in the 9th hour he cried, my God, why have you forsaken me? The curtain in the temple in Jerusalem ripped in two, and a tremor shook the earth. Earthquake. So an earthquake shook the earth. Jesus said in a loud voice, Father, in your hands I place my spirit. And at that moment he died. A soldier who had watched throughout and seen the strange things that had happened said, surely this man was the Son of God. What an interesting ending. Some of us were not expecting that. Some of us were expecting that, but like, it still shocks me every time. Like, the meaning of the curtain ripping was because in the temple there was a curtain that divided like the high priest from the ordinary citizens, and in that time it was like known that you could only like talk to Jesus through the high priest. Like, you would go to the high priest of the church and you would tell them like what you needed to be, like your prayer request and things like that, and supposedly they were the only ones that could actually communicate with God. But when that ripped open, it was a sign that since Christ had given his life for us, now the only way to get to heaven was through Christ. We didn't need for the message to us to be delivered to the priest, to be delivered to Christ, to be delivered to God. Now we only need to talk to Christ, and God, and he delivers it to God right away. And that's like when we see the famous passage that says, no one can go to the Father except through me. And it's saying that the only way you can go to heaven is talking to Christ and praying to Christ and praying directly to him. It's not talking to a priest or another human on earth. The only way that you're going to go to heaven is talking with Christ, and no human on earth can make that happen. And that was what was thought back then, that the priest could like make you go to heaven when they talk to Christ and things like that. But when that curtain ripped open, it meant that now that the priests were the same as us, and they were not better people than we were. We were all sinners, and they too were us, and we could also talk to God by ourselves. And not only did they have the privilege, but all of humanity had the privilege to talk directly to Jesus. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you guys for staying till the next video. We have one more chapter, and this is gonna be our last chapter, and it is the resurrection. Yes, that is our last chapter that we have to read. And I think it's gonna be pretty good. It's obviously gonna be amazing. We're gonna see a little bit of the things that happened during the resurrection, and like some of the people that he saw and some of the people that saw him. So that's gonna be pretty fun. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, share this video to somebody you know, and give this video a big thumbs up. If you, like I said, if you aren't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Like that you get notified every time I post a new video. So like that you get notified when I post a new video. Turn on your bell notifications. It's right next to your subscribe button. And if it is gray, that means you already have them on. But if they're blue, that means that you still have to turn them on. And as soon as you click on them, you can see when you get notified. And like that you can be one of the first people to watch my video. And make sure to share it. Thank you guys for all your help and support, and I hope you guys have an awesome weekend and an awesome Christmas and Christmas Eve holiday. See you guys in the next video. Bye bye.